When Anna arrived at her destination, she discovered the horrible truth with her own eyes.
Voilà, viens. Pas mieux. Allez, continue. Voilà. Allez. Courage, Nico. Voilà, viens.
Dieu vous bénisse, Valiant.
7 months went by. Driven by compassion, Anna devoted herself, body and soul, to healing the wounded and the sick. Every life saved was another small victory over the war. The conflict, however, raged on.
Shrapnel shell remnants. Shrapnel shell remnants are shell containing lead bullets. Depending on its settings, the shell might explode on contact with the ground, sending its contents flying, or in the air for even more destructive results. Mess tin with holes. Both dishes of this mess tin have holes in them. Not hugely practical for eating perhaps, but life-saving for one soldier. The mess tin bag was worn at kidney height. When the shell exploded, this mess tin slowed down the searing hot shrapnel in flight, which, although it wounded the soldier, helped him to live another day. Mess tins were blackened using smoke to prevent them from glinting in sunlight. Tallow socks. Socks soaked in refined tallow and coated with formol, the most effective way to beat the cold and damp, frostbite, and other ailments. That, at least, was what the adverts had people believe. However effective the socks were, the soldier's best friend was always a nice dry pair. The hecatomb. The first 3 months of the war saw especially heavy losses. August 22, 1914 was the bloodiest day of the whole war, with heavy casualties. The numbers of wounded were far greater than had been anticipated, and the military health services struggled to cope with the scale of the conflict. Nurses. Nurses were the angels of the Great War, and were generally volunteers recruited by the Red Cross, the Army, or American ambulances to work long, grueling shifts in hospitals, both at the front and behind the lines. They played the role of carers, mothers, and confidants. They often feature in soldiers' memoirs, and were sometimes their sole companion in death. The majority of them were demobilized at the end of hostilities.
là tant qu'à trimor.
Non, 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 non. Ah, non, 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 non. Hey, oh. Courage, Nico. Allez. Chut. Voilà.
Dieu vous bénisse, madame.
Nurse's Manual. The war effort suddenly required a larger medical corps, and there were not enough qualified personnel, so manuals were published and distributed to help volunteers train. The manuals provided a whole host of practical solutions to logistical and medical problems at the front, such as how to make a splint or stretcher using rifles and their straps.
Yeah, vous garde.
Letter from a Prussian soldier, 6th of September 1914. My dear daughter, we are making headway through the French countryside. The landscape is beautiful. I'd much rather be enjoying it with you than killing people. I think of you all the time. Your father, Wolfgang.
Pas mieux. Voilà, si. Voilà. Courage, Nico. Allez, courage. Allez.
Si bas, ma bien. Dieu vous bénisse, madame.
Lice comb. In their journals, soldiers often recount losing the war against lice and rats in the trenches. Apart from lice powder, the only other prevention against lice was this fine-toothed metal comb. Often when soldiers took leave behind the lines, they were scrubbed down with hot water, their clothing boiled, or a new uniform issued.
Lâche à tout. Oh, profilant.
va bien. Oh, Marie, Marie, Marie. Ah. Danke. Oh mein Gott. Oh mein Gott.
Ok. Courage, c'est bon. Allez. Allez, courage. Voilà, c'est bon. Voilà. Pas mieux?
Danke.
Hey, guardons. No, j'en ai besoin de ton
The French officers were talking about Belgium. The German army was about to experiment with a new weapon near Ypres, Anna's hometown.
Papa!